7 years ago, I wanted to see this movie called Skyline, and now I finally get to see it. I regret watching it because I know how terrible it was. And now there's the sequel, which takes place in where I live, so well played.
Like we used to do.
Beyond Skyline should be a sequel to the first Skyline movie, and this movie is directed by Liam O'Donnell. Now in this movie, Beyond Skyline tells the story of an LAPD cop named Mark, who is played by Frank Grillo, and now he's on a mission to save his son Trent from an alien abduction, where the aliens from outer space uses these blue lights to attract their humans and pull them into their ship. And now that they'd landed their ship somewhere in an island, which I'm gonna tell you later, he meets this survivor named Sua, which is one of the remaining survivors, who is also on a mission to take down this alien invasion. And now as Mark and Sua work together to stop this alien invasion and save their son once and for all. Now to be honest, I remember 7 years ago, back in 2010, I wanted to see this movie called Skyline, and I was like, wait, what's this? What's this movie about? It's an alien invasion movie, and I really want to see it. And then 7 years later, I finally get to see this movie, and I regret watching this movie because I know how terrible this movie was. However, then there's the sequel called Beyond Skyline, which actually is a sequel to the first movie, and this takes place in where I live, which it's this thing over here, which if you know where this is, let me know in the comments below, and you know where to find me. However, this place here, that's one of the places where they shoot the movie, and I've been to that place 5 years ago. Of course, it takes place in my country, so you know where to find me. Now, in the beginning of the movie, the beginning and the ending is a little bit connected because it tells you a brief explanation of what's it all about, because there's some kind of connection to it that has in the middle of the movie. And in the beginning, we start up to see with Mark, Frank Grillo's character, and also his son Trent, played by Jonny Weston, as they have some issues with their mother's death. And then suddenly we get to the scene where the alien starts attacking, and then the blue lights start attacking, and they're like, wait, what's going on? What's going on? And it's already happening. The event's already happening. And there's some shots which are actually connected to the first movie. If you didn't see the first movie, that's fine, because there's a connection to it. Like, it really takes place in the same event as the first movie takes place. And then in the middle of the movie, we get to see that the alien ship starts crashing, and then they ending up on the island, like, where the hell are we? And now they're like survivors, we're trying to interact with each other, like they just fight some aliens and all that. And then the ending of the movie, the ending, I mean, there were some great things in the movie. Like, I thought the ending was great. I mean, I don't know about the location, but there were some great fighting moments in this movie. However, the ending leave us thinking, oh, so that's the girl, which there's a connection between the first movie and the last movie, which this is kind of like a connection. This is kind of like those movie which they try to evolve the movie when the first movie is terrible and now the second movie. So it's kind of like saying that you want a sequel to District 9, like, hey, District 9 was a good movie, so let's make a sequel to District 9, and this is what you have, District 10, which happens to be the alien movie but with different characters. This is what the movie was about. Beyond Skyline continues the first Skyline movie, but this time it focuses on another point of view, which we get to see Mark and these guys, which we focus on them. However, there are also some things that happened from the first movie. There are some things from the first movie that made it to the second movie, and we also get to see what happened to the characters from the first movie. Now let's just talk about the characters. So Frank Grillo plays as this LAPD cop named Mark. I mean, Mark is the so-called tough-nailed cop, and however, Mark is like, he's kind of like this brave person, and however, there are some scenes where he's like, he swears sometimes, and like he's trying to be a good guy, and like, alright, we all settle down, let's all do this, we do this once and for all, and that. And yeah, and then suddenly there's this moment in the middle of the movie where they find one of the characters from the first movie, and then they have to protect this baby, which that's kind of like the key plot to the movie, which is in the beginning and the end, which I'm not gonna spoil much. However, you want to be a spoiler review on it, I'll let you know. And then we have his son named Trent, who's played by Jonny Briston, if that's how I spell his name, and I'm sure he was in this movie called Project Almanac. And however, his son is like, sometimes he's like out of control, like sometimes his son doesn't do much with his dad, and then there's that time where the son's like, he just look at the blue lights like, no, don't look at it, don't look at it, and like he just did it, like he keeps on sacrificing things. However, there's that elements that they did with the first movie as well, that he did something like this, and yeah, I'll tell you about that. So basically, there's this aliens. The aliens in this movie, they actually suck their brains and then they put it into the alien. Now this is what they did to Trent. Is basically they take their brains and then they just put in one of the aliens, and the aliens become Trent. So this is something from the first movie. And then we get to go with this character named Audrey, who's played by Bonjana Novakovic. That's how I spell her name. And I think she's a train conductor. I mean, she's an Australian actress. And however, Audrey is like she's one of the survivors, and suddenly like she's actually a good-hearted. Like she did much in this movie. I mean, she did well. She tried to protect the baby and that. Speaking of the baby, it's basically one of the most important key plot, where because it leads from the first movie, and then suddenly in the second movie, like, she grows fast and she becomes one of the keys to the aliens, which, I mean, there are many aliens in this movie. They're one of those aliens that they're just like, those big predators. And then there's one with the tentacles one, which they didn't appear much. I mean, in the first they did, and then there's not much to it until, like, in the beginning, I mean, like, there's snakes and tentacles and all that. And then you get Iko Uwais' character. Now, Iko Uwais, he is an Indonesian martial arts actor, and he came from the movie called The Raid, which this movie really is from where I live. Yes, I came from Indonesia. I'm very honest right now. So basically, Iko Uwais plays as this guy named Suwa, who's basically like a survivor leader, and he's basically this good guy, and he's good at martial arts. Like, he kicks butt in this movie, and then he's like telling the good guys and like, okay, we're gonna do this and that. But he keeps swearing in this movie. He keeps saying the F word. He's the guy who keeps saying the F word, like stupid this and like stupid Americans and like F you and that. I mean, there's a lot of F words in this movie. He did a lot of F words in this movie out of everyone. I mean, Frank Grillo did like mother effer, and in this one he's like F you, effing like that. There's a lot in this movie. I have to say this, but Beyond Skyline is a sequel that improved the first movie, which makes things more bigger. I mean, I'm sorry if that critic didn't do right, but I'll fix the critic at the description if you want to see it. I mean, Beyond Skyline, the first movie, I was like, okay, this movie was, I didn't do much. But when I see the second movie, the sequel, I think it really did some improvement. I think the sequel really had a great storyline, and as it continues the story, this movie really feels different. I mean, it's one of those alien sci-fi thriller, like, hey, this alien movie was good, let's make a continuation to it, because I don't know what's going to happen in the ending, and they just did it. This is what you get, an alien movie that just continues, but with different characters. So that's the ideal, as long as it seems with the same concept. But yeah, that was my review on Beyond Skyline. Have you seen it? What did you think of the movie? Let me know in the comments below. And if you know where this takes place, you know where to find me, because I've been there 5 years ago and I'm already missing that. But yeah, that was my review on Beyond Skyline. After this movie review, I'll be doing my review on November Criminals, and then we'll move on to Justice League. But yeah, that was my review on Beyond Skyline. So here's the outro.